You're already on the plane, seatbelt buckled, bag stowed, settling in. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you're wondering if you can ask for another pillow, or whether the Wi Fi code is free, or if there's any chance of getting a better seat. But you don't ask because you don't want to be that passenger. I see you, and I want to tell you something. You're leaving things on the table on every single flight. Things that are already there, already available, already part of what the airline is prepared to give you, and most passengers never ask for any of them. If you've ever felt like the people in the nicer seats were getting a different experience, you weren't wrong. But it wasn't always about what they paid. Sometimes it was just about what they asked for. My name is Sarah. I spent 14 years working the aisles for a major U.S. carrier. I've done transatlantic red-eyes, 6-hour domestics, turnaround after turnaround on 2-hour hops. I left that job 18 months ago. And now I can tell you what I watched passengers miss, flight after flight, because nobody ever told them it was okay to ask. Today I'm walking you through 10 things you can ask for on every flight completely free that most passengers don't know exist. Some of these will surprise you. A few of them might make you feel a little frustrated that you've been flying without them. But by the end of this, you're going to board your next flight differently. Let's get into it. If you're finding this helpful already, hit that like button right now and make sure you're subscribed with the bell turned on. I post insider knowledge from 14 years in the air every single week, and this is just the beginning. The first one seems almost too simple. Ask for a full can of your drink, not just the cup. Here's what most passengers don't know. When a flight attendant pours your ginger ale or your cranberry juice and hands you that little plastic cup, there is almost always more left in the can. Standard service procedure is to pour and move. We're working a cart through a full cabin on a tight timeline. We are not trying to shortchange you. We are trying to get to every single person before the cart has to come back in. But if you ask, could I actually have the whole can? Almost every flight attendant will hand it to you without a second thought. There is no policy against it. There's no cost to you. It just requires you to ask. I once had a passenger on a Dallas to Seattle flight, a woman named Miriam, maybe 60, reading a paperback, who waited until I was almost past her to quietly say, "Any chance I could keep the can?" I handed it over. She smiled, and that was the nicest 30 seconds of that service. Miriam got her full can. The man across the aisle got a half cup and said nothing, and I moved on. Ask for the full can. You will get it more often than not. Number 2, ask if there are any unsold seats on the plane. This one requires a little timing and a little courage, but the upside is enormous. After the boarding door closes, a crew member usually does a quick count of empty seats. On most flights, there are some. On slower routes, there are more than a few. And here's the thing. Those seats are going nowhere. The flight is closed. Nobody is sitting in them. If you're in a middle seat, cramped next to someone, or just want more space, walk up to the galley quietly after boarding is complete. Not before, not during, after, and say this exactly. "Excuse me, I don't want to be any trouble, but is there any chance there are empty rows I could move to once we're in the air?" That phrase, "I don't want to be any trouble," does more work than you think. It signals that you understand our situation, that you're not demanding, and that you'll wait for the right moment. Flight attendants remember that. We will look for a spot for you. We will come find you after the seatbelt sign goes off. I did this for passengers regularly, and I never once resented the ones who asked politely. The ones who marched up and announced they were moving without asking, that's a different conversation. The ones who asked quietly, at the right moment with consideration, we went out of our way for them. Number 3, ask for extra snacks. I know this one sounds small, but stay with me. On most domestic flights, the snack service comes around once. You get your pretzels, your cookies, your little bag of crackers, and that's it. The cart goes back into the galley, and you assume that was your one shot. It wasn't. There is always extra, always. Flights are catered with more than enough for the standard one per person distribution. The leftover snacks sit in the galley for the rest of the flight. Some of them get eaten by the crew on long hauls. A lot of them get thrown away at the end of the flight. At the end of the flight. If you are hungry 2 hours into a 4-hour flight and you walk back to the galley and quietly say, "Sorry to bother you, is there any chance of an extra bag of pretzels?" The answer is almost always yes. Bring a big smile, bring a please and a thank you. That is the entire cost of an extra snack. I've handed passengers entire extra meal boxes on long international flights because they asked nicely and there was food going to waste anyway. Ask. The worst you will ever hear is that we've already stowed it or we need to hold it for later service. That happens maybe once in 10 times. Number 4, ask about the Wi-Fi. This one has some nuance, so stay with me because it depends on the airline and the flight, but it's worth knowing. Some airlines have arrangements where the in-flight Wi-Fi is complimentary on certain routes or certain aircraft. Some carriers have loyalty program perks that activate free Wi-Fi but aren't advertised clearly at the gate. Some flights have promotional free access windows. Here's the part that almost no one does. Ask the crew before you buy. Walk up to the galley early in the flight and say, "Hey, quick question. Is there any way to access the Wi-Fi for free on this one, or any workarounds I should know about?" You are not asking us to do anything illegal. You are asking if there is a free option you might not know about. Sometimes we know about a discount code circulating for that airline. Sometimes the system is glitched and it's free for everyone that day. Sometimes the honest answer is no, you'll need to pay. But I watched hundreds of passengers open their wallets for Wi-Fi without ever asking first. A few times I wanted to tell them, but we're not supposed to offer that information unsolicited. If you ask, the door is open. And if this is helping you see air travel differently, this is the moment to like this video and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming. There is so much more where this came from. Number 5. Ask for a pillow and blanket at the start of the flight before the call button ever crosses your mind. On most carriers, there are a limited number of pillows and blankets in economy. The passengers who get them are usually the ones who asked at boarding or very early in the flight. The passengers who ask 2 hours in, when things have settled and people are asleep and blankets are distributed, often hear that there aren't any left. This is not us being stingy. This is supply. There are a set number on board, and they go to the people who ask first. The magic window is boarding. As you settle in, when a flight attendant walks through the cabin checking on things, that is your moment. "Excuse me, would it be possible to grab a pillow and a blanket before we take off?" Polite, specific, early. I used to keep a mental note of which passengers had asked for something early with a good attitude. Those were the passengers I checked on. Those were the passengers who got the last blanket when we were running low. It is not a coincidence. Number 6, ask for a comfort kit upgrade on long-haul flights. Here's something the informational videos will never tell you because they don't know it from the inside. On international and long-haul routes, airlines stock comfort kits, sometimes called amenity kits, for business and first class. These have eye mask, earplugs, sometimes socks, sometimes a small moisturizer. You know about these. What you might not know is that on some carriers, there are leftover kits at the end of the flight that would otherwise be thrown away. And on some flights, there are kits prepared for premium cabins that were either oversupplied or had cancellations. You will not get this every time. I want to be honest with you about that. But if you are on a long international flight and you walk up to the galley mid-flight and you say very gently, "I know this is a long shot, but is there any chance of a spare amenity kit from business class?" You will occasionally get one. I gave them away more times than I can count, specifically because they were going in the trash and a kind passenger asked. Name the category, mention the long shot. Those two moves lower the resistance entirely. Number 7. Ask for a seat upgrade at the gate, but ask the right person at the right time in the right way. This is the one that makes people nervous. It shouldn't. Flight attendants do not control seat assignments or upgrades. That is the gate agent's job. So if you want to try for an upgrade, a bulkhead, an exit row with more legroom, or an open premium economy seat, the conversation happens before you board, at the gate, with the agent at the desk. The timing is critical. The best window is 30 to 45 minutes before boarding begins. Not right before the door closes, too chaotic. Not the moment you arrive at the gate, too early and they haven't sorted the manifest yet. 30 to 45 minutes out is when they know what's empty and who's checked in. Walk up when there isn't a line, make eye contact, and say this: "Hi, I know you're managing a lot right now. I just wanted to ask, is there any chance of a complimentary upgrade or a better seat on today's flight? I'm happy to wait and I completely understand if not." That last sentence does enormous work. "I completely understand if not" removes the pressure from the interaction. You are not demanding, you are asking. Gate agents are human beings who field complaints all day. Someone who approaches them with courtesy and patience stands out in a way that is hard to overstate. I watched gate agents do things for kind passengers that were technically outside standard procedure, simply because that passenger treated them like a person. We are more than halfway through, and you are already ahead of 90% of travelers. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you catch every video like this one. Number 8, ask for a hot water cup. This sounds minor. It is not. Here's the thing about long flights that most people don't prepare for. The food is mediocre, the snacks are salty, and the options are limited. But if you bring your own tea bags, your own instant oatmeal packets, your own single-serve soup or instant noodles, the galley has a hot water dispenser that is available to passengers who ask. The key is that most passengers don't know they can ask for plain hot water outside of the tea and coffee service. They can, it is not a special request, it is water. The dispenser is there for service, but there is no rule that says you can't have a cup of hot water to use for your own food. I watched a passenger, a woman traveling with a toddler, pull out a small packet of instant oatmeal on a 6-hour flight and ask quietly if she could get some hot water. I almost wanted to hug her for asking the right way. That toddler had warm oatmeal at 35,000 feet. The mother looked at me like I'd given her the world. It was hot water. It cost nothing. And it made that flight completely different for a family who would have otherwise wrestled with airplane snacks for 6 hours. Bring your own food that needs hot water. Ask for a cup. This is allowed. More people should know it. Number 9. Ask for extra napkins, cutlery, or condiments before service ends. This one sounds almost embarrassingly practical, and I'm including it because I watched so many passengers sit with a mess or go without something they needed simply because they felt awkward asking. Napkins are not rationed. Salt and pepper packets are not rationed. If you need an extra fork because yours fell, or you want another napkin because your tray is a disaster, ask. Walk up to the galley or stop a flight attendant passing by and ask. There is no version of this request that is unreasonable. On international flights with full meal service, condiments like hot sauce, honey, extra butter, the flight attendants carry a cart stocked with all of it. The official service comes around once. The items on that cart don't disappear after service. If you want something extra, ask during service before the cart moves on. Say it while we're right there. Could I grab 2 of those? Any chance of an extra of those? This takes 4 seconds. I cannot tell you how many passengers quietly went without something because they didn't want to bother us. Asking for an extra napkin is not bothering anyone. It is a napkin. Number 10. Ask for a note or a letter of acknowledgement if your flight experience was exceptional or genuinely difficult. This last one is different from the others, and I saved it for last because it's the one that changed the most for me after I left the industry. If a flight attendant went above and beyond for you, took care of your child while you were sick, helped you through a panic attack at altitude, moved heaven and earth to find you a meal option that worked for your allergy, you can ask for their name and write to the airline. That letter goes in their file. In an industry where feedback is almost always complaints, a written commendation is genuinely career-changing. Flight attendants cry when they get those letters. I am not exaggerating. And in the other direction, if something went genuinely wrong, a legitimate service failure, a safety concern, an experience that was unacceptable, you have the right to ask at the gate or on board how to formally document it. Not to vent, not to take it out on whoever is in front of you, but to actually create a record that goes somewhere. Ask the gate agent on arrival, who should I speak with about documenting this properly? That question will be taken seriously in a way that an angry tweet will not. Both of these requests, positive and negative, are free. Both of them matter more than most passengers realize. And both of them require you to ask. I want to pull everything together before I let you go, because there is a thread running through all 10 of these that is worth naming. None of these things cost money. None of them require status or a loyalty tier or a business class ticket. Every single one of them requires one thing: the willingness to ask at the right moment in the right way, with basic human consideration for the people on the other side of the cart. The full can, the empty seat, the extra snack, the Wi-Fi question, the early pillow request, the long shot amenity kit, the gate upgrade window, the hot water cup, the extra napkin, the letter that changes someone's career. You don't have to do all 10 on your next flight. Pick the one that feels most useful and try it. That's enough. And the next flight, try another one. Flight attendants are not vending machines, and we are not invisible. We are safety professionals who also genuinely want your flight to be good. When you treat us like people, ask clearly, and receive whatever the answer is with grace, we remember, we notice. And we will go further for you than you probably expect. If this changed how you're going to fly, I would love to know. Leave a comment below telling me which one surprised you most. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the bell. I spent 14 years learning things I wasn't allowed to say out loud. Now I get to say all of it every week right here. I'll see you on the next one.